Welcome to Yusuf's AB English Language Program, where language goes beyond the classroom and learning becomes life. At the heart of our program is a commitment to academic excellence. From global perspectives to local voices, we learn from the best. Our internships also stretch across borders, fostering cultural exchange, global competence, and confidence.
This is the beginning of our lasting practice. Introduces students to the rich cultural heritage of Vietnam.
Look to fair with our fair. Last weekend, I decided to try authentic lightning in Hanoi.
Oh, thank you so much.
Through our translation projects, we give voice to stories that matter.
Ayo, naminaw baka mo, tingog sa Mindanao, Mindanao stands, never fall.
Amplifying voices across cultures, preserving the richness of diverse narratives, and making meaningful texts accessible to wider audiences. We also carry our knowledge beyond the four walls of the university, into communities that need it most.
Sa mga tao at maging evident.
We learn the power of presence, empathy, and service. The AB English Language Program is not just about academics. We also shine in every arena.
Should not be a barrier, but too often it is. When we break the barriers of language, we open doors to education, empowerment, and change.
Words shape the world. Let's shape it right. This is Language Without Limits, and this is the start of building dreams without limits.
From pageant to sports to hosting to center stage, we bring heart and hustle. We bond not only through classes, but also through shared adventures. Friendships, nature, fitness. Our learning continues wherever we go. Behind every student's growth are mentors who lead by example. Our faculty don't just teach language, they live it. We are proud to be recognized by CHED as a center of development in English. Here, language becomes a tool for change, connection, and creativity. So to our newest AB English language students, welcome to a program that encourages you to think critically, act compassionately, and speak with purpose. This is more than just a course. It's a life worth living.
So I shifted my idea towards language acquisition.
In your own scholarship, have there been discoveries about Philippine languages that
Good morning once again, distinguished speakers, faculty members, students, and guests. Welcome to the 5th ILMU International Lecture Series on Applied Linguistics. Reaching this 5th part of our journey is truly a milestone and an achievement for all of us. Each ILMU has built upon the last, widening our conversations and deepening our insights. What began as a simple platform for dialogue has now blossomed into a sustained tradition of knowledge sharing. One that bravely explores not only local challenges but also global questions of language, culture, communication, and society. In the past year, we've been honored to welcome distinguished scholars from Malaysia, Thailand, and Australia whose generosity in sharing their expertise has enriched our perspectives and strengthened our commitment to the field of applied linguistics. Their voices, alongside the passion of our very own USAP community of faculty, students, and researchers, have shaped ILMU into something bigger than an event. It has become a movement of learning, questioning, and connecting. Now, as we celebrate the 5th ILMU, we are not just continuing a lecture series, we are carrying forward a legacy that keeps the spirit of ILMU or knowledge alive, a legacy that sustains languages, uplifts communities, and builds bridges beyond borders. I'm Kate Marie S. Italia, and I'll be your host for today's virtual gathering. To start, may I invite everyone to join the opening prayer to be led by Mr. Brent Lloyd Likayan, instructor from the Mindanao State University General Santos City, to be followed by the singing of our Philippine National Anthem via an audio-visual presentation.
Kudung Takuy, let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of God. Mabelongit, selamat mabele ang bayong kastifo ng pumikdaw ni Banim Glimu ILMU International Lecture Series on Applied Linguistics. Uyagam kamkde tao model na mumnim kastifo ni nabanlayam lukat mo ikaw kahadam nakahanas nawa. Ani kadek kat ngun umun labele ma pablay kum kat nafde kay makpawi na hambagal do yam tum katao. Nuhay ma yam banmu ma nakde kam banmu han blat katondo na klume. Hanyu hamni na nala kamni na kam mulu bele ma baktadon na hol bol yam katahu na kahiyu bakam banuma. Ngomong mi benim kastifon ni ani yam kam udel ma naglilab ma bamlay kum katikaw nagkahadon nawa nagkasfili bakum kahadon sona.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiging telas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng mahiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nanagang putok sa simoy at sa langit ng pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang lang matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may magtitindig. Lumang ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Tanging pamantasan naming mahal, tampok ng timog Mindanao. liwanag mo ay aming ilaw sa lakas ng karunungan. USCP, naming liyang na sa'yo ang pangarap, ang pag-asa at pagunlad, dunong laya at galak ng mga kabataan. Siyang lakas, ibang bayan ngayon bukas. Pamantasan aming dakila kayo, Batista ng lunong at tuwa. Ang pangalan mo'y ibabandila ng matanghal nitong bansa. USCP, pamantasan naming liyan, handog sa'yo'y puri at bulaklak. Ang pangalan mo ay itatanyag, bandila mo'y itataas. Ang pangalan mo ay itatanyag, USCP naming liyan.
As we mark this milestone, it is only fitting that we begin with words of welcome to set the tone for today's meaningful exchange of knowledge. To deliver the welcome address, may we now call on Dr. Nasirin Abdillah, a Bahasa Melayu faculty here at USEP, Associate Professor at our partner university, University Technology Mara in Malaysia, and advisor of the SPJRD. A virtual round of applause, please.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Assalamualaikum. Magandang araw. Distinguished speakers, esteemed colleagues, honored guests, Language Student Society officers, dear students and friends, a warm welcome and pleasant morning to all. Thank you for having me to deliver a welcome address for the 5th ILMU. On behalf of the University of Southeastern Philippines College of Arts and Social and Sciences and the Language Student Society, it is again my great honor to welcome all speakers to our gathering today. Yeah. So this gathering is truly significant as it unites scholars, educators, and students across nations to explore pressing issues in language, communication, and applied linguistics. Today, we are privileged to hear from highly respected lecturers and speakers. From the United States, we have Dr. Rodney. Hello, Dr. Christoph from Thailand, and then we have our distinguished speakers from Oman, Dr. Shirin Al-Hiti, and then from University of Nottingham, China, Ningbo, China, Dr. Curtis Green Inex, and then last but not least, we have Professor from Saudi Arabia, Dr. Othman Z. Barnawi. Welcome all. And their expertise will guide us through timely discussions on intercultural communication, multilingual education, language ideologies, and the ethical responsibilities of applied linguistics research. So ILMU is not just an academic event, it is a bridge connecting cultures, broadening perspectives, and nurturing the spirit of collaboration. In a world shaped by diversity and constant change, conversations like ours remind us that language is both a unifying force and a powerful tool for social transformation. To our distinguished speakers, thank you for sharing your time and knowledge with us. To our students and participants, May today's sessions inspire you not only to learn, but also to question, to connect, and to imagine how linguistics can make a difference in your communities and beyond. Let us engage with open minds, active hearts as we embark on this half-day journey of learning and exchange. With that, I warmly welcome each and every one of you to the fifth ILMU. Maraming salamat, daghang salamat, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah, for that warm and inspiring message. Truly, your words remind us of why we gather for ILMU, to learn, to connect, and to keep the spirit of knowledge alive. At this point, let us move forward to the inspirational messages as we hear from individuals whose insights will continue to guide and energize our journey together. As we begin, we are honored to hear from a distinguished scholar whose dedication to language and cultural studies continues to make a meaningful impact in the academe. He is a proud USAT AB English alumnus, SPJRD advisor, and currently the chair of the Division of Humanities at the University of Hawaii at Toronto. Let us warmly welcome Dr. Rodney C. Jubilado.
Let me say aloha to everyone here, especially to the hardworking students in the audience and in the organizing committee. You guys remind me of my younger self when I was a BA English student at USAP many months ago. Don't ask me when was that, but I was a transfer from Mindanao State University and also from Ateneo de Davao. First, thanks also to young Barbahagya, Professor Madia Sajid Ingilan, for sending me the invite at 3 a.m. in Washington, D.C. 3 a.m. guys. So thank you, dear organizers, for having me here at the 5th ILMU International Lecture Series on Applied Linguistics. As I said in one of my talks before, ILMU is the Arabic word for knowledge. When I was faculty at the University of Malaya in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I like reading that huge arch at the entrance of the campus. It says, Ilmu Punca Kamajuan, or in English, it means knowledge is the source of progress. Knowledge starts from listening and participating, and ilmu cannot exist without doing ikrah, the Arabic word for the command read, which is also the first word revealed in the Quran. And so, let me say, to acquire knowledge, we must also read and apply such knowledge to gain wisdom. I strongly believe that everyone can learn from our selected esteemed speakers. Treasure the knowledge that these wonderful scholars are going to share with you all. And most of all, apply such knowledge and see what it brings you in your quest within the purview of applied linguistics. Aloha, and may you all be successful. Wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jubilado. Indeed, ilmu or knowledge is the foundation of progress. Continuing this series of insights, we are honored to listen to a scholar who has significantly contributed to the international dialogue on language and identity, broadening our perspectives on communication across cultures. We warmly welcome our very first lecturer for the inaugural ILMO Lecture Series last year, and also serves as an advisor of SPJRD, Dr. Christoph Savsky, Associate Professor at Prince of Songkla University, Thailand.
Hello to everyone from Thailand, and what a pleasure it is to help the organizers welcome the audience to this really interesting event. Yet another great lecture event organized by University of Southeastern Philippines, which I'm so happy to be supporting. You guys are really showing the rest of us how to promote a positive scholarly environment. Yeah, three really interesting speakers today: Osman Barnawi, Shirin Al-Hiti, and Curtis Green Enix. I think that everyone in the audience is going to get something, at least one thing from each of these speakers. So without further ado, let's get started. And, I look forward to hearing from all my friends about how well this went. Thanks very much and enjoy. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samsky, for that meaningful message all the way from Thailand. Now, everyone, let's just settle for a bit as we wait for our first lecturer. Let's watch this music video produced by the USAP faculty and students.
Sing it, 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 sing it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ani ata karon nagkaiusag, nagkatigom. Punta inyong pagadunggon ang tingog sa paglaom. Nagkadaiyang mga tingog ato ang ipalanog. Duyog sa agong ug kulintang magsadya kitang tanan. Sing it, 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 sing it. Isingit ang kalipay, isingit ang gibati, padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi. Isingit ang kalipay, isingit ang gibati, padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Iho sa bata ato itayaw. Uyoy sa kudyati lugubong kalina sa atong kinabuhi. Itamag malaumon sa pakibisog dili magpadaog. Pangandun na magmalang puso, pakigiusa kita magapadayon. Sama sa tunatunggan sa ako. Singit, 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 singit. Singit ang kalipay, singit ang gabati, padayon sa kadasig sa akong kinabuhi. Isingit ang kalipay, isingit ang gabati, padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi. Isingit ang kalipay, isingit ang gabati, padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi. Isingit ang kalipay, isingit ang gabati, padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi. Managlahi man ang atong tribu, usar gihapon ang atong tingog, ug nagkayusa sa paglawom. Managlahi man ang atong tribu, usar gihapon ang atong tingog, ug nagkayusa sa paglawom. gibati padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi isinggit ang kalipay isinggit ang gibati padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi isinggit ang kalipay isinggit ang gibati padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi isinggit ang kalipay isinggit ang gibati padayon sa kadasig sa atong kinabuhi. Hey, yeah, yeah. Sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it.
Hinaut nga dunay maminaw, ang tingog sa Mindanao. Hinaut nga dunay maminaw.
Ang tingog sa Mindanao, hinaut nga dunay maminaw.
The unheard voice of Mindanao, we hope that someone hears us now. Oh,
Island of such beauty, a land so free, once home to natives and history. Foreign hands are now working on your fields. Bahid na ang kamatuuran, ang imo man kaha silang tabangan, mga lumad kitang kaigsunan. Ang tingog sa Mindanao, hinaut nga dunay maminaw.
The unheard voice of Mindanao, hope that someone hears us now.
Sa panahon nga kami gilupigan, nga ang balaod butaman nga gitap-tapan. There is no other purpose for us to hold. We're awakened by the truth, no sadness we found.
Ayo, naminaw ba kamo? Tingog sa Mindanao, nagahangyo. For years we've suffered but still we rise, hoping someone sees through our eyes.
We've been trying to speak to keep our ground. Who will listen when there is no sound? So listen up, world, hear our calls. Mindanao stands, will never fall.
Ang tingog sa Mindanao, dapat nga dunay maminaw.
The unheard voice of Mindanao, we hope that someone heeds us now.
Mindanao. Mindanao. The unheard voice of Mindanao, we hope that someone hears us now. The unheard voice of Mindanao, we hope that someone hears us now. Oh, Mindanao. Oh, Mindanao. Oh, Mindanao.
Mabuhay og madayaw, kadi si Angeline Mansaban na Benito, sokad na lohong tumindanao. Mookyan pagkito, dakal na salamat.
Sincerely embrace it all. I will promise you I will never let go. My life is all for you and yours alone. Oh, 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 and yours alone. Oh, 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 and yours alone. Sa siyang langit sa mga mata ko na di kapuyo, bugang akong dughan. Kanunay ngalan mo lang sa pito. Ug di ko magduha-duha og tikang, ug mahulog ka, andam ko mahulog uban. And wherever we will be, by our destiny. Hey, hey, hey! I will never leave, that will be my promise. And will sincerely embrace it all. I will promise you I will never let go. My life is all for you and yours alone. Oh, 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 and yours alone. Oh, 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 and yours alone. I'm here to keep you safe. Your knight in shining armor, protect you from the crazy things in life. When life is full of crazy uncertainties. Ug di ko magduha-duha og tikang, ug mahulog ka, andam ko mahulog uban. And wherever we will be, by our destiny. Hey, hey, hey! I will never leave, that will be my promise. And will sincerely embrace it all. I will promise you I will never let go. My life is all for you and yours alone. Oh, 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 Ipanumpa ko, di kabiyan. Ipanumpa ko, di kabiyan. Ipanumpa ko, di kabiyan. I will never leave, that will be my promise, and most sincerely embrace it all. I will promise you, I will never let go. The life is all for you, and yours alone. Whoa, whoa, and yours alone. Whoa, Badang baya bayubang, badang bayam, badang baya bayubang, badang bayam, badang baya bayubang, badang bayam.
At the heart of every academic gathering is not only the exchange of knowledge, but also the joy of interaction and engagement. While still waiting for our first international lecturer to give us a fun and meaningful breather before we proceed, let us welcome our game facilitators, Mr. Kevin Flores and Mr. Jake Urot, AB English language students.
Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you from around the globe joining us for today's ILMU, International Lecture Series on Applied Linguistics. My name is Kevin Lawrence E. Flores.
And I am Jake Urot. Together, we will be your host for a quick and fun icebreaker designed to get our minds warm up and connected before we dive into our amazing lectures.
Absolutely, Jake. And since we're all here to celebrate languages and intercultural communication, our icebreaker is perfectly called Guess the Language.
So, next one. That's right. So here is our simple instruction for our today's game. So first, we will share a photo with a word or phrase written in a specific language. Then your mission as our participants is to guess what language is. And then you may type your guesses into our chat box that can be found on the lower right of the screen. After that, we will give you about 5 seconds to think and type your answers. Lastly, we will reveal the correct answer and share a cool fact about that language.
Easy, right? Let's jump right into our first one. Kuya Jake, can you take us away?
All right. So here is our first challenge. So this is a signboard that you might see on a highway. Look at that unique and beautiful script and ideas, everyone. You may not type your guesses on the chat box. Okay. Someone says it's Cambodia. You may type your answers, guys. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is
All right, time's up. So the language is Sinhala, or also known as Sinhalese, This specific sign is from the Colombo-Katunyake Expressway in Sri Lanka. The signboard is showing how far ahead is the toll gate of Colombo-Katunyake Expressway. Sinhala is an Indo-Aryan language. It's one of the 2 official languages of Sri Lanka, alongside Tamil. Great start, everyone.
So, okay, for our next language to be guessed. So, this one might look a bit more familiar to some of you. It's a sign you'd see in many buildings all over the world. It's a common word, but in a different script. Everyone, go ahead and type your guess. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is.
All right, the answer is Bahasa Melayu or Malay. This is the word for exit. Bahasa Melayu refers to the Malay language, an Austronesian language spoken primarily by Malays in Southeast Asia and the Malay Peninsula. It is the official language of Malaysia and Brunei, one of the official languages of Singapore, and is also spoken regionally in Indonesia and southern Thailand. And fun fact, the word Bahasa itself actually means language in Malay.
So I see many of you got the correct answers. And of course, I would like to thank Associate Professor Nasrin Abdillah for imparting his knowledge with us. And for our third challenge, this is a universal traffic sign, but here it is written in a powerful and distinct script. The right to left writing is a big clue. What do you think, guys? You may type your answers on our chat box. Oh, I see many of you says it's Arabic. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the answer is.
And you guys are right, it is Arabic. This is the word for stop. Arabic is a language of the Afro-Asiatic family, spoken by approximately 315 million people across the Middle East and North Africa. It is written from right to left using a 28-letter abjad or alphabet that has been adapted to write other languages like Urdu.
So now for our next language to be guessed. This one is for our public transport users. Imagine seeing this helpful announcement at a train station. The language might be recognizable from its characteristic long words. You may now take your guess and type your answers on our chat box. Oh, I see some of you say it's German. Some say it's douche. Yeah, so in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is.
You guys are right once again. The language is German. This sign happily announces trains are running again. This sign is announcing that trains have resumed running or are operating again after a pause or interruption. German is a major European language and an official language in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein, known for its position in those famous compound words.
And for our last but not least, here is our final language to be guessed by you guys. So this is a very important parking sign. Let's see if you can get this one. You may now type your answers on our chat box. Ooh. Majority says it's Bahasa Indonesia. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is.
And the final language is Indonesian. This sign says special parking for people with disabilities. Indonesia, or Bahasa Indonesia, is a standard form of Malay and is the official language of Indonesia. It is very similar to Bahasa Melayu we saw earlier, showing the beautiful connections between language in the region. And that's a wrap for our Guess the Language Icebreaker. That was a fun trip around the world through scripts and signs.
It sure was. A huge thank you to everyone who participated and typed their guesses in the chat. Now, without further ado, let's proceed to the main event. We now turn the floor over to our esteemed speakers. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you so much for that videos and for the videos and the icebreaker. Now, as we return to the core of today's event, we've prepared to embark on the lecture proper, an exchange of ideas that lies at the very heart of the ILMU lecture series. Unfortunately, due to a family emergency, we are going to change our first international lecturer. And to formally introduce our first international lecturer, may I call on Mr. Sebastian Rhodes C. Maghinay, Language Student Society External Vice President.
Thank you, Miss Italia. The renowned linguist Edward Sapir once said, "Language is the roadmap of a culture. It tells you where its people come from and where they're going." This statement reminds us that to study language is to study people, power, and the diverse realities that shape our shared human experience. With this in mind, let us now move forward with our first speaker for today's lecture. He's an esteemed associate professor at Isra University in Gaza, Palestine, specializing in translation and interpreting studies and applied linguistics. He currently serves as a postdoctoral research fellow at Hashim Sani Center for Palestine Studies, University of Malaya in Malaysia. With over 15 years of academic experience, he has been a keynote speaker and presenter at more than 40 international conferences and events. He has published numerous scientific papers and book chapters globally and serves on the editorial boards of several scientific journals worldwide. He is also the founder and CEO of the Asian Federation of Translators and Interpreters in Malaysia. His research interests include applied linguistics, translation, and Palestine studies. With his wealth of knowledge and strong commitment to advancing the role of linguistics in society, we are certain that his lecture for today will be both enlightening and thought-provoking. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce to you Dr. Mohammed H. Alakad, discussing applied linguistics research, solving real-world language challenges. A round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Magnite. And also, I would like to extend my thanks and appreciation to Young Berbahagia, Prof. Sajid, and to everyone who are behind this organizing this great event. And it's really wonderful. I can see a lot of students and a lot of academic staff, faculty members. It's really an honor for me. So let me start my presentation, which is going to be today about applied linguistic research. Can you see my presentation? Okay, so my presentation live, because from here, from my side, I cannot see whether it's live or not yet. Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah, now I can see. So first of all, I would like, as I mentioned, to thank everyone and good morning once again. So it's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today. When I was preparing this talk, I kept asking usually myself, like, why does language matters so much to us? Why? So the answer is very simple, because language is not just a tool, it's the very thing that connects us as a human being. This is the way, or the way of communication. Without language, we won't be able to communicate with other communities. We won't be able to fly abroad, to go to other countries in order to understand those people. Without language, we won't be able to understand different people, different cultures. So this is the gist of language. So as we mentioned also, language is bridging the gap between linguistic theory, practical solutions for communication and challenges across education, technology, society. So it's a very interesting to know that without the AI nowadays, it would be very difficult for us to keep learning these languages. Imagine 5 years before the AI, ChatGPT, all these things, it was very difficult for us to keep learning from different languages. But nowadays, it's very simple. Just blink an eye, you can learn a few languages in less than 1 year. So, but here's the challenge. Why we use language? So it's not always simple. It's a kind of a tried to how we teach, how we learn, how we build policies, and how we design technologies. Even nowadays, it's very important to know that how we ensure justice through language. Without language, it's very difficult to achieve justice in each kind or each field of our life. So that's where applied linguistic comes in. Applied linguistic is about taking all theories and knowledge we have about language and ask, how can this actually solve real world problems? This is what we call applied linguistic. We applied the linguistic, we applied the languages into solving the real world problems, the real world challenges. Let's move to the next slide. So the field itself, the field of applied linguistic itself, has a fascinating theory and a fascinating history about learning those applied linguistic and how make it true in our real life. So it really began during World War II, when linguists like Leonard Bloomfield and Charles Fries were asked to help train soldiers in foreign languages. So it was urgent and practical and also life-challenging work. Imagine you were asked to train soldiers in foreign languages. For example, you were asked to train soldiers in Arabic language, but you are a Filipino and you don't know Arabic language. So it's really challenging and not easy process. So it was a kind of life-challenging work. And ever since, applied linguistics has kept the same spirit, finding a practical solution for real world needs in order to challenge the real world problems, to find solution to the practical problem we are facing every single day. So, what does this mean? This has a very interesting history, back in the history, about the languages and the process of evolving languages, how the language used to evolve. But today, the scope is very huge. In education, for example, we look at how people learn second language and how teachers can make the process easier and more effective. In policy, in language policy, for example, we help governments make decisions about which languages to use in schools and which language to use in exams, which language to use in academic institutions. In discourse studies, we analyze everyday conversation to understand how communication build with each other, or how to break the relationship between these communication. how to understand the hidden meaning or the pragmatic or semantic meaning behind these words or behind these languages. In multilingual communities, we look at how to support bilingual education and social inclusion. This is very important because without language, you won't be able to do any of these things. So language is not a tool we learn. No, it's actually embedded in our life. Every part of our life involve language, involve a human language. Even sometimes the body, we call it body language. The body language, when you do some kind of gesture, you smile, you get angry, you laugh, this is also language. So the language is not only the language we speak, but everything in our life is a language. Your body gesture is a language. The movement of your body, we call it sign language. Everything is a language. So this is the importance of how language is. And it also in specialized areas like a translation, conference interpretation, or even forensic linguistics, we apply our expertise to diplomacy, local and global communication and justice system. So imagine, for example, in conference interpretation, where you are sitting in a booth to do conference interpretation, and there are so many people in the conference hall waiting for you to translate from language A to language B, from Filipino to English, or from English to Arabic. If you do not know these languages and you master these languages, the whole audience in the conference hall will not understand anything, because those around 1,000 people actually 100% depending on you, on your translation. So this is how important is the language. Okay, next slide. Okay. What are the real examples in our real world? So let me share a few powerful examples of applied linguistics in action. Adult literacy programs informed by research have raised reading skills in undeprived communities by up to 40%. Technology-enhanced learning, like, for example, AI tutors, is now helping millions of learners around the world get personalized feedback. Special feedback for every single student. Personalized feedback, and something that was impossible a few years ago. And also in the courtroom, forensic linguist has helped solve crimes by analyzing written and spoken evidence. So all these involve human language. So these are the scopes we just explained. The scope, key domains of applied linguistics. We have different key domains. We have the language teaching, assessment and language policy, discourse studies, discourse analysis, which goes under it. Then we have multilingualism and specialized application, like translation, interpretation, legal language, discourse, and forensic linguistic, etc. So the interdisciplinary nature of applied linguistic, meaning that can we use applied linguistic in different areas? Yes, of course. For example, we can mix between applied linguistic and medical science. So in terms of how can we merge this medical field with applied linguistic? So for example, we can have a kind of research, talking about patient-doctor communication, and discourse analysis. So here we are applying the discourse analysis, the applied linguistic part, which is part under applied linguistic discourse analysis, in order to analyze the doctor and patient communication, how they communicate with each other. So this is very interesting, where we can use applied linguistics in multidisciplinary areas. We can use it also in the legal system. We can use applied linguistics in psychology. We can use it in psychiatry. We can use it in social cognition and many other fields. This is how we can do interdisciplinary, or sometimes we call it multidisciplinary, like 3 or 4 fields in one research, or 2 fields in one research. So this is what we call interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary research in applied linguistics. So research in applied linguistics, it used 3 kinds of methods. We have 3 kinds of method or methodologies, whatever we call it. So we have the qualitative approach, quantitative, and mixed method. Mixed method, where we use both the qualitative and the quantitative. So the qualitative usually is a kind of ethnographic studies, detailed discourse analysis, and in-depth case studies that explore language use in nature context, where they can analyze the language because it looks for the quality. It looks for the quality. So we analyze the discourse, we analyze the language to look at the hidden meaning. This is a qualitative. But what about the quantitative? The quantitative is we look for the numbers, empirical studies, experimental research design, large-scale survey, questionnaire, corpus linguistic that provide statistical evidence and measurement outcomes of language phenomena. This is what we call quantitative because it looks for quantity. Mixed method, where we can use both qualitative and the quantitative in one research. It's a kind of combining qualitative and quantitative data for a comprehensive insight. For example, using corpus linguistic to analyze language patterns in social media whilst conducting interview with the user. So we check, for example, or we apply what we call a questionnaire, survey, and at the same time, we apply also interview. So influential figures back through, as we mentioned, this is back in the history about the authors or the founders of these methods and practices. We have pattern practice revolution, 1940, and in 1960 we have Noam Chomsky, where he started his theory about the critics and the criticism of behaviorism approaches, which led to broader a kind of a problem-focused research that consider cognitive and social factor in language learning. Recently, we have some advanced research methodologies focusing on the mental space and blending theory. Okay, next, we have the case studies language policy, which we just explained. And also we have here the challenges of the case study. And we have the key research question, where you should ask yourself 3 to 4 questions in order to know whether this is a real problem that you are looking for a solution, or this is not actually a problem. It could be a hypothesis, not a problem. So in order to start your real research, you have to have what we call a real research problem, and you start figuring out this research problem. So this is very practical way. So here we have also the applied linguistic in action, real world impact. As we mentioned, we have the adult literacy program, technology enhanced learning, and forensic application, where we can use applied linguistic on all of these fields. A challenge and the future direction for what we call for applied linguistic. So of course, the future brings in new challenges. We are living in a world of increasing multilingualism, where digital platforms nowadays are reshaping how people communicate, and also at the same time, AI is advancing at lightning speed. And we must be very careful about ethics, making sure our technologies do not carry hidden bias or violate people's privacy. And finally, we need to put social justice at the heart of our work so that no one is excluded. But of course, because of the language we use and the language we speak, we will be able to figure out the real problem challenges, and we will try to find out solution to world problems. So why does applied linguistics matters? Again, because it reminds us that language is what we call is not just an academic subject, it's a human lifeline. It's about equity, opportunity, and understanding. It's about helping people live better lives. As researchers, educators, language teachers, practitioners, our responsibility is to keep bridging theory and the practice and make sure that our work continues to teach the real, to touch, and to solve the real world problems. This is what all about. This is what language is all about. So the power of applied linguistics, yes, we have mentioned theory meets practices, interdisciplinary innovation, and the global communication, where continued research promises to enhance communication and understanding worldwide problems, breaking down language barriers, and fostering international cooperation. So the question is now, as we mentioned, language is very important. And why does language matters? Because as we mentioned earlier, language is not an academic subject. It's a human lifeline. Without language, we won't be able to move forward. We won't be able to understand our history back. So as a researcher, we have to keep looking into solving a problem, solving a real world problem, and pushing our student, our kids, our families hand in hand into the future, where we all can use languages in a very fascinating way using AI and using artificial intelligence. So that will make sure that our work continues to touch what we call the real world problems. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alakad.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that insightful and thought-provoking discussion. Your lecture has truly enriched our understanding of how applied linguistic research can help solve real-world challenges. It has opened new perspectives on how we can respond to the challenges and opportunities that diversity brings. And because learning deepens through dialogue, we now move forward to an engaging exchange of ideas. We now proceed to our open forum, moderated by Ms. Jamaica Prado, USEP instructor.
Thank you all for attention so far. We will now have the open forum. This is your chance to ask questions, share insights, or raise any points related to the lecture of Dr. Alakad. Please use the raise hand feature or type your questions in the chat box and we will address them one by one. Okay, let's now begin. Okay. Michelle Torres rather. You are recognized. Again, Miss Michelle Torres, you are recognized. You may now unmute your mic. Oh, okay. Mr. Cacnyo, please open your cam and unmute your mic.
Wait. I'm checking. Is my camera working or something like that? Wait. I don't think my cam is working. But am I audible? Can you hear me, Sir Professor Mohammed?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
can hear.
Nice. All right. I don't really know if my cam's working, but it's working fine for me while when I'm recording. So anyways, we're gonna do this without my cam, I suppose. So I really like your topic, the introduction all about the applied linguistics and what makes me curious, what intrigues me, makes the colors out of me go brighter, something like that, is AI. Because our world is, evolving so much to the point that we're artificially evolving as well in technology. So AI, artificial intelligences, often struggles with this during when, in machine translations. With this, when they give translations. And, while people in the real world use it, sometimes the machine literally translates, what sentence you're gonna try to translate, and they might miss the real meaning. So, um, like with increasing role of AI in global communication, we often hear about how these technologies can make understanding across cultures faster and more efficient. But I wonder, should AI be designed primarily to prioritize the efficiency and communication across different cultures, or should it instead focus on respecting and maintaining our cultural distinctiveness, even if that sometimes slows down understanding, or should there be a balance as to how we should tackle?
Again, could you repeat your question because the voice was not clear?
Okay. So basically, my question is, how can we make sure that AI is like how can we balance to make sure that AI can be designed to be used as an efficient way to communicate and as a way to respect and maintain our cultural distinctiveness?
Yes, very important and very interesting question.
Right.
You are right. It's very difficult where we can make sure the AI will be enabled to personalize our work. This is nowadays, it's a bit tricky, but in the future, I think it will be possible. However, this also depends on the user himself. If he know the ethics of using such kind of AI platform, or he just try to what we call breach this ethic and using AI in an ethical way. So it depends on the user. This is very important point. The second point, nowadays there are some AI agent, like for example, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an LLM platform, but inside ChatGPT there is an agent where you can use this agent to personalize your life routine, life skills. For example, you could ask this agent to send you daily email about the current news in Philippines. Every single day, he will send you emails, personalized emails. What you want to ask him to do, he can do, but not the ChatGPT himself. No, AI platform inside the ChatGPT called a ChatGPT agent. This only available, unfortunately, for the paid subscription, not for the free version. So for the free copy, is not available. It's available for the paid copy, where you can pay. You have your annual or monthly subscription. They will give you a button called AI agent, where you can use this agent to personalize your life routine, life skills. For example, every single day, he can remind you about the meeting. He can set your agenda, but you need to give him access to your phone so he can read your meetings and he can suggest you the time. He can remind you 10 or 15 minutes before the meeting. So this is very important where we can use AI to enhance our life process. But there is another important point, which is about security. Whether this AI will be secured enough to save our confidentiality, or are they going to leak all our information to AI generators? This is important. So now we are using the ChatGPT. So it's fine because we are not giving the ChatGPT our personal details. But when you use this kind of AI agent, it will not work with you unless you give him access to your personal files, your contact number, your email. You give him access to your email. So you give him your password and your username, which is very risky. He can set reminds for you. He can set emails. He can send emails and receive email and read the email for you. But at the same point, it could endanger you and put your security at risk, because anytime all your secret information will be leaked. You give him your email, you give him your password, your username, everything. So in a minute, everything could be gone. This is the problem.
Right.
But in the future, we may have some kind of more security. Nowadays, I think that the problem of ethics with AI, it's very broad problem everywhere, and everyone actually complaining about this, about the ethics of AI. Why? Because every single day we have a new AI. Every single day we have a new AI coming up. So in the future, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, I think all these AI will be put under one umbrella where they can manage all human ethics. So then it will be very safe for us to use. But now, unfortunately, it's not safe. You can use it, but do not access to your personal data, personal information, personal photos. These personal things, do not try to access a ChatGPT or AI to it. Otherwise, in a minute, you will be in public.
Right. So basically we are the agents. We're responsible, right? Okay. I like
Yes,
it.
exactly. Yeah. And
That's
as
all for
we,
me.
we as we mentioned before in the previous session, AI actually is the slave and you are the master. You the master, he's the slave. You must tell him what to do and what not to do. But at the same time, you cannot show all your secret to your slave. In any minute he could use it against you.
I
Hope
see.
now it's clear.
Yeah. I got it. I'm taking notes.
Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you.
that, Mr. Capnyo and Dr. Alakad. Who would like to add? Who would like to ask more? Please raise your hand. Okay, we have here Miss Sebastian. You are recognized. Kindly unmute your mic. Thank you.
Good day, Sir Alakad.
Yep. Good
So
day.
thank you so much for your presentation on applied linguistic research. So I really like your idea about without using language, we won't really move forward because it's really about solving real world problems with language. We can solve a lot of problems with using language. So my question would be, I was just wondering, how can researchers in applied linguistics as future researchers conduct studies that aim to solve real world problems while being mindful of our own ideologies so that we can avoid bias. So like how can we avoid our own ideologies in our works in applied linguistics? So that's all.
Yeah, that's a very interesting and timely question. How we should avoid our own ideology in applied linguistics, or using applied linguistics. This is very interesting. In order to do that, you have to do a kind of interdisciplinary research. Not only focusing on applied linguistics, you can use applied linguistics as a tool to penetrate into other fields like medicine, like legal domain, like many other fields. So in such thing, when we use what we call interdisciplinary research, you won't be able to simply apply your ideology because it's totally different field where you are using applied linguistic in legal, where you apply using applied linguistic in the courtroom, you are using applied linguistic in the hospital. So it won't be easy to apply your own ideology and bias with the outcome or with the result of the research. And as I mentioned also, Sebastian, before, the most important in using interdisciplinary research is to have collaborators. You have another team members from different area. Not you are only the sole author who's doing multidisciplinary. No, I do not recommend such thing. But it's very important to have collaborator, to have a team with other, so you can collaborate, you can engage with them. They are from medicine and you are from linguistic. You are from teaching English language or teaching Filipino language. They are from, for example, religions or religious school. So here you can join together in order to do a kind of interdisciplinary research. So it won't be easy for both of you to interfere your research arena with your own ideology. It will be very difficult because totally different merging research area.
Thank you, Sir Alakad, Doctor. Thank you so much for answering. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sebastian. We will accommodate one last question. Okay, we have Faldas. You are now recognized. Please unmute your mic. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible po?
Hi,
Yes,
Fardas.
you
Okay ba?
Hello, Sir Alakad. Good morning. I was embarked by your statement earlier that language is not just a subject but a human lifeline. And yes, it's true. And it's the understanding of everything we do. And as a student and as a aspiring researcher, in terms of ethical considerations of doing a linguistic research, how do we acknowledge the limitations of using AI? Um, and what do you advise us in consideration of using such AI? Because AI is prevalent and uncontrollable nowadays.
Yep, you're right, exactly. Every single day there are new AI platform, new AI agent are popping up. So AI become like a mushroom. Every day, few coming up. This is very interesting question. Your question is how to look for the limitation of AI or what again?
Yeah, my question is, in doing such linguistic research, how do we acknowledge the limitation of using AI, and what do you advise us in consideration of using such AI?
Yep, very, very interesting question. So how to acknowledge the limitation of using AI? Actually, nowadays, the limitation of using AI is very minor. So meaning that everything can be done using AI, almost everything. But the most important, the limitation of using AI. There are some limitations where we cannot use AI for it. For example, in the medical field, you cannot use AI. In the legal field, you cannot use AI. In the courtroom, where there is the judge is giving order, you cannot use AI. So in writing a lawsuit against someone or defending someone in the court, you cannot use AI. So there are some field AI until now is still unapplicable to use. You cannot use it. This is one point. Next point, there are some bias of using AI in the simple domains, like for example, in languages, English language, Arabic language, Filipino language, whatever. There are some mistakes. For example, nowadays you are using AI in Filipino language, which is not legal or not medical or not science, rocket science or something. It's a very simple language. I'm giving him one or two sentences. I'm asking to translate it. Sometimes he commit mistakes. This is a very simple, but he commit mistake. So this is a very simple language, but he is still committing mistakes. What about if you are using it in a very serious situation where you use AI to translate, for example, a patient report with cancer disease? So it's a very serious, very risky. Any mistake in that report could change the whole life of that patient. If the dangers, for example, if the cancer disease at stage 1 and there's a potential mistake or error in the use of a ChatGPT for into translating or describing this report, he's mentioned instead of stage 1, he mentioned stage 4. So that means the patient is gone. He's going to die tomorrow. So it's a kind of risky. So these are some of the what we call the serious limitation of using AI. And in academia nowadays we are using AI. Everyone start using AI. The student, lecturer, instructors start using AI, but there are some limitations in academia, meaning that you can use AI to paraphrase sentences. You can use AI to enhance the language, to enhance the grammar, but you cannot use AI in writing your literature review. You cannot use AI in writing the finding section or the conclusion section, because this section must be your own idea, not AI platform idea, not the ChatGPT idea. You can ask AI, for example, to give you some notes or some quotes or some references, citations from that research or this research. You can ask him to, you can give him your topic and ask him to give you some related studies where you are looking for literature review. He can suggest you some studies where you can use. Yes, you can use AI for this, but you cannot use AI to write your methodology, which is a very critical section, to write your findings and conclusion. So this is very serious, because any mistake with using AI, the whole study will be invalid. Your whole study will be invalid, unfortunately, and will be it's a kind of wasting time. You are doing nothing, because the introduction, the abstract, the introduction, literature review, methodology, everything has been written with AI. Everything is fake. Everything is unrealistic. So here is the problem where we should not use AI. But at the same point, we are encouraging our students to use AI for daily conversation, daily communication, to enhance English, to enhance their communication, to enhance their speaking, listening. And sometimes, because like we as a lecturers in one of the best universities in Malaysia, so sometimes we urge our students to use AI before submitting their assignment to us. For example, one of the students, he usually submit assignment, but there's a lot of mistakes. So I don't have time. As a lecturers, we have about 20 or 30 students. You do not have time to keep correcting simple mistakes. You are looking for the answer that you are looking in order to give the correct marks or the score for the student. But you are not going to waste 2 or 3 hours for one student to correct his simple mistakes. So what we are doing, we are urging the student to start using AI platform, ChatGPT or whatever, to improve their speaking and reading and writing skills. Always, if you do not know how to write, ask ChatGPT. Give him the sentence and ask him to correct the sentence for you. Is it this correct or not correct? So usually what we do in my previous university, we ask the student to submit their assignment to AI platform, like a ChatGPT or whatever platform, and ask ChatGPT to highlight the mistakes for you. Ask him to correct the mistakes and highlight the mistakes. Not only correct, but correct and highlight. So he can correct and highlight the mistakes for you. After that, you send us the true copies after you correct it. So we won't have a lot of time looking for mistakes, because you already corrected, and step by step, the student himself will start learning from AI. Oh, this is the mistake. Oh, okay. Next time I should not write like this. It should be like that. Oh, so is be here, not are. And step by step, the student will start learning by himself using AI platforms. And also, we reduce our pressure on working on a simple task for the student. This number one. Number two, the student when he need to submit the final version of the assignment, he must mention in the assignment that I use the ChatGPT in the discrimination. We have this claim note at the end of the assignment. So the student need to mention I use, for example, AI generation in doing correction, or I use AI in enhancing the English language. He need to mention where he used AI and for what purpose. This is very important because this also give honesty to the student and to the lecturer. So the lecturer will be believing and trusting his student because they told me they used AI. They are not cheating me. They are not cheating. They are not sending me a perfect English assignment and they are saying, "Oh, this is my assignment." Actually, they are ChatGPT or AI platform. No, they are showing the truth. They are saying, "Yes, we use ChatGPT to enhance our language." But step by step, they will start learning from that. So this is a kind of mutual trust between both. This is very important, where we allow the student to use AI platforms. I hope, Fadlas, I managed to answer your question.
Yes, sir. That's a very profound answer, sir. And I thank you for that. So the use of AI is not bad as long as it is used in moderation.
Exactly. And as much as you also disclaim the use of AI in your assignment or in your writing.
Oh, thank you so much, Sir Alakad.
Yep, my pleasure. Yeah, you have to disclose it. Disclose the use of it.
Thank you so much to the participants who have addressed their queries. And thank you so much, Dr. Alakad, for answering their questions insightfully. So now I will give the floor back to Ms. Kate Italia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alakad, and thank you as well to our forum facilitator, Ms. Jamaica Prado, for such an engaging and enriching exchange. Before we proceed, let us first present the Certificate of Recognition to our distinguished lecturer in recognition of his invaluable contribution to this fifth ILMU International Lecture Series. Let me read the citation. University of Southeastern Philippines Certificate of Recognition is presented to Dr. Muhammad H. Alakad of University Malaya, Malaysia for sharing his time and expertise as a resource speaker on the topic Applied Linguistics Research, Solving Real-World Language Challenges during the 5th ILMU International Lecture Series on Applied Linguistics held on September 26, 2025 via Zoom. Issued on the 26th day of September 2025, USAP Davao City, Philippines. Signed by Associate Professor Sajad Asingilan, AB English Language Program Head and SPJRD Chief Editor. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Alakad. Now, to capture this meaningful moment, we will have our photo opportunity. Everyone, may we kindly request you to turn on your cameras as our technical working group will capture your beautiful smiles. Ready in 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in that wonderful photo opportunity. Truly, moments like this remind us of how knowledge is not only shared but also celebrated in community. We now continue with the second part of our lecture series, which will focus on another pressing and inspiring theme in applied linguistics. This session will shed light on how our beliefs and practices as educators shape the way we engage with multilingualism and nurture learners in diverse settings. To formally introduce our next distinguished international lecturer, may I call on Dr. Raymond Palayon, lecturer at the King Mongkut's Institute of Technology, Ladkrabang, Thailand.
All right, thank you very much. It is my pleasure to welcome our second international lecturer to the fifth ILMU international lecture series on applied linguistics hosted by the University of Southeastern Philippines Language and Literature Department in coordination with the Language Student Society. And today we are honored to have Dr. Curtis Green Enix as our guest speaker. To give you an overview of his academic profile, Dr. Green Enix is an assistant professor in the School of Education and English at the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China. As a critical educational linguist, his work focuses on equitable language education, teacher development, and the interplay between identity and language ideologies. His research has been featured in top journals such as Chinese Journal of Applied Linguistics, English Today, Linguistics and Education, RELC Journal, System, TESOL Journal, TESOL Quarterly, and Urban Education. In addition, he serves as an elected co-editor of TESOL International Association's Applied Linguistics Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, let us warmly welcome Dr. Curtis Green Enix, who will be presenting on teaching, believing, becoming, reframing language ideologies, and the formation of multilingual educators across contexts.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Raymond. It's lovely to be here presenting to you all today to share my screen with you all. I'll be doing this talk focusing on language ideologies and teacher education. And so when we consider this talk, there's going to be four parts: the role of language ideologies and teacher education, and TESOL and teacher education, reframing language ideology as a form of praxis, illustrating language ideology as praxis through my TESOL quarterly study, and future directions that the field can begin exploring. So focusing on the first part, when we think about teacher education, we are beginning to see many studies illustrating how teachers hold deficit language ideologies that shapes one's learning, teaching, and use, that as a result begins to form a chasm between students' learning opportunities to varying degrees. This has been illustrated in many studies, such as Sarah Congas' study, who focused on how teachers might be misinterpreting federal policies in the United States when trying to support English language learners who have disabilities. As she found, um, she found that educators thought their beliefs about the respective laws were facts, when reality was they were locally constructed in the walls of their schools, district offices, and intermediate units. So no policy was trickling down from the state or federal government, it was homegrown. And this problem has also been found as language ideologies have been underpinned as what counts as language and as legitimate language use in schooling. Pre-service teachers need to be provided with opportunities to translate their learning toward concrete actions that challenge deficit language ideologies in and out of the classroom. And even within and this has been done through varying ways, with many of the scholars have highlighting how we can begin incorporating World English pedagogy through a critical orientation by implementing it through developing local forms of knowledge, creating alternative forms of culture and knowledge within the classroom, helping students interrogate their ideologies, and helping them value their student voices in their future classrooms. Through this, the whole orientation of critical world Englishes has been to honor what is local within a multilingual and multicultural contexts. Yet, even within my own classroom, I was be teaching TESOL teaching methods, and one of the students in my evaluations said the following: Curtis was great and very enthusiastic. However, even though this is a TESOL required course, I found it completely pointless. And because of this, I tried my best to make it very practical for them to show how it helps their students who might not have English as a first language or as a home language. So in this case, I was wondering what is going on with this? Why is this occurring? And so this is why I um, did a study with it that got published in TESOL Quarterly on the intersectional identities and performed language ideologies, stories of becoming a US K-12 content teacher. If you're interested in this study, you can access the QR link here. But overall, we need to, before delving into this study, we also need to understand kind of what language ideologies are and how I reform it within the study. So language ideologies, there's many views of what it is and what it entails. Silverstein, for example, highlights that it's a set of beliefs about language articulated by users as a rationalization or justification. Judith Irvine and Susan Gall highlighted that it's a form of understanding of linguistic variations that map those understandings onto people, events, and activities that are significant to them, that is often suffused with political and moral issues. Or Paul Kraus-Gredy, who situates ideologies as a form of beliefs, feelings, and conceptions about language structure and use, which often index the political economic interest of individual speakers. That is compounded and localized within context that's multiple, context bound, and necessarily constructed from the sociocultural experience of the speaker. And when we think about these different definitions, they're different orientations of how we can begin researching language ideologies in and out of the field. So Michael Silverstein would be more of an ideology as theory orientation, taking a more neutral stance just to understand what these ideologies are. Ideology as critique is helping teachers, for instance, understand that the way they're doing things might be misguided. Or ideology as performance is it's something that to be done. But for my study, I situate it as a form of praxis. In praxis, building off of Ferrier, is the reflection of action, and reflection is the source of knowledge and creation. To investigate people's thinking about reality and people's action upon reality, which is praxis. So in this case, I define language ideologies within the study as an active process of interpretation and appropriation where individuals use material practices, like telling a story, to reproduce, either implicitly or explicitly, their beliefs to form and organize an ideology scheme by attaching values, representations, and emotions to their explanations toward these linguistic repertoires, semiotic resources, and their subject positions in a particular context. So in this case, to kind of summarize this, ideologies aren't just in the head. They're engaged with. We engage with most of the ideologies that we encounter day by day through an through an active case of sense making as we navigate and traverse this ideological terrain while performing or maybe sometimes attempting to perform our beliefs in that situation, thereby producing kind of new forms of knowledge through both reflection and engagement uh, with the ideologies enacted. So, returning to my study in TQ, the aim of the study was to understand the way these language ideologies, along with discourses about teaching and learning and training, come together to shape pre-service teachers' emerging teacher identity and their perceived role in helping multilingual learners. Specifically, I'm just going to focus on one question, that is, what language ideologies emerge from my pre-service teachers' narratives performing their understanding of their essential duties in supporting multilingual learners. This study took place in the United States at Evergreen State University. This is kind of in the Midwest of the United States. And the training that they went, it was a 5-year teacher training program with the central aim to develop deep content knowledge in their respective subject and take courses on the most effective teaching practices. So in this case, I had two participants. However, I'm going to focus on Steve due to time. Steve was a secondary or high school history teacher who had English as his first language and Spanish as his second language, lived on campus. Both parents were well educated and they had they were about middle income. And for the findings, I'm going to skip the methodology and the analysis. If you'd like me to go into that, I can and after the talk. So what were the findings? What did I find focusing on Stephen? Well, he wanted to support CLD students but only if they shared a language with him. And specifically two ideologies emerged that I captured: linguistic affiliation and standard academic English. To look at his training real quick, Steve took very few subject matter on how to support culturally and linguistically diverse students or students who come from different linguistic backgrounds. With only one course in particular focusing on the matter. With this course, ED 407, a pseudonym, all the names and everything are pseudonyms, essentially highlighting that the pre-service teachers need to adapt subject matter to learn diversity, in quotes, and create these learning opportunities for CLD learners so they can make a sense of the curriculum. Very open case, right? And so when I asked him in the very beginning how he felt about one of the courses he was taking, he said, "Yeah, that's something that I have different thoughts on based on what I'm teaching. It's not as prevalent when you're teaching a language course, but in history, it's something to consider because of the possibility of having a language learner. I know Spanish, I can speak Spanish well, and I think the kinds of setting, if I had someone who spoke Spanish, could make that work. But if it's a language that I don't know, I haven't really considered how I can incorporate that into my course." So in this excerpt, we see him taking on a type of teacher identity already. You can see it in the purple where he says, "You're teaching a language course." In history, so he's even focusing even further on being a history teacher. And then the ideology starts to emerge after qualifying himself as a teacher, saying, "I know Spanish. I can speak Spanish." And I think that kind of setting, if I had someone speak Spanish, I could make that work. So notice that ideologies aren't always "I believe," "I feel," "I think," but it's the way we situate them within the context. Speaking Spanish, right, was something that he valued and that he attached to begin constructing this ideology of linguistic affiliation. And we can start seeing the formation of this in the last line in gold. And going even further later on in the interviews, he said, "I think that as a teacher, you should support your students." We see this identity come in where now we're also seeing the ideologies he's attaching to this identity that he's beginning to construct for himself. And even from there, we see this identity reemerge even again as a history teacher, where he's torn between teaching history and teaching students, where we see the ideology again and the tension being played out. And at the last part, we see this level of emotion where he's anxious, where he's attaching emotions that drive his uncertainty and stress in ways. And so after taking this course called ENL 302, which is Methods of Second and Foreign Language Teaching, I was not the teacher of this course. The course objectives was to demonstrate in-depth pedagogical content knowledge and intersects English language development and disciplinary content knowledge, and help students like Stephen develop lessons that represent differentiated instruction or helping support their language learners through modified materials. And within this course, it focused on SIOP, or Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, which is a means of making content comprehensible for English learners through English medium instruction. And throughout the course, he focused on, teacher identity in the content classroom, understanding the policies, and then developing pedagogical skills. This would go on for about 15 weeks, where he also focused on understanding the potential background of learners and material development. And so after all of this, he still kind of had this linguistic affiliation ideology where he says, I think it's definitely helpful to learn language, but we see this class being helpful to help him see a different way because he's been engaging with himself as a teacher as this course allowed him to engage in reflection in relation to the content being taught. And he says this class doesn't make it seem like you need to learn another language. It teaches a lot of methods that you can use to help English language learners, even if you don't speak their language. So we see in the beginning, before taking this course, he thought he had to share a language with his learners. So that in this case, because he spoke Spanish and English, he could only support Spanish speakers, and all the other students he wasn't able to really support. But as he saw with this course, he was starting to reflect and engage in those beliefs he initially had and see that, okay, I can support my students. And this might be one way of doing it. Yet, even after all of this, he still asked me the following question. And there's some other data points I highlighted in TQ that I won't delve into at this point. But he highlighted that, do I still teach standard English? Even though this course helped him see that no, you don't need to teach standard English to your students as long as you're helping them learn English through the content, it's all good. Um, still see him ask this question: to what extent do I teach standard English? What about the grammatical forms and functions? So what we're seeing here, to summarize, is that we see that within ESU, this university, TESOL related courses were supplementary and Stephen was left unsure on how to support CLD students within their classroom. Uh, and in this way, linguistic affiliation ideology appears to be a way to absolve teachers like Stephen of the responsibility to support multilingual students in his classroom. And standard English often took place as a way, if any, to teach it because there has to be a right form of English. Um, and in this case, learning a second language like Stephen has, or the best methods, strategies, and theories is not enough to disrupt or combat monolingual or standard English ideologies. Because as we saw, Stephen was bilingual, but reverted to monolingual ideals even after taking this course. So, what does this all mean for us? Couple, there needs to be, as we are training our future teachers, or even as we are become future teachers, we need to actively engage in reflection on our experiences and ideologies to begin forming new knowledge, behaviors, or insights. In this case, for teacher educators, we need to assist learners in understanding their experiences and in relation to what they're learning and who they're learning about in their classroom. And for this reason, we need to further explore the use of activities that spur critical reflection. This could be in the form of guided reflective logs or vignettes where students have to engage in story-like problems that have no clear answer, but they do have to make these context-focused bridges where they are translating or they're developing knowledge with their own ideas of becoming a teacher. So to conclude, the key points is language ideologies not only impact how we provide learning opportunities to learners, but also the way we learn to engage with and appropriate policies in our classroom. Language ideologies are not simply in our head, but they're an active process of interpretation and appropriation. And there needs to be more activities that spur critical reflection in order to help translate developing knowledge into their developing identities. Thank you. This is the article if you would like to delve further into it. Is there any questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Green Enix. We'll now open the floor for your questions, everyone. And this will be moderated by Miss Darlene Lames, USEP instructor.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Curtis. Thank you for that enlightening lecture, sir. So we now open the floor for questions. If you have any queries, please drop them in the Zoom chat or simply raise your hand to be acknowledged. All right, we have here Roble Erica from Baelal 1. So kindly unmute your microphone.
Good morning, Dr. Green Enix. It's a pleasure to have you as our lecturer for today's lecture series. And you know what? I have learned so much from you with the discussion so far. And it's kind of close in our perspective as well with we are still learning about language acquisition. And I'm also trying to connect the experiences that we had in learning a foreign language along with the things that you have discussed. At the same time, earlier I was also like thinking about one of the main problems that we have here in the Philippine education setting, wherein students are struggling to write in English because they're having like trouble understanding it in the way that they can comprehend it in their own local language. There's just so much to unpack regarding this discussion that or the lecture that you have with us right now. So I think I would like to reduce this to like just one question, one or two questions maybe. And this has to do with the first thing is if I'm going to be like a teacher who is going to teach another language to my students who could barely just understand their local language. Say for instance, I'm going to teach either English or like Spanish or Chinese as their second or foreign language. How am I supposed to approach them in a way that they can be able to bridge the foreign language that they are learning alongside with the local language that they already are familiar with?
That's a great question. And one of the first things to consider as your teacher is one, what is your teaching philosophy? And also, what are the language policies that are kind of dictating how you have to teach, right? I'm in an English medium instruction that says I just have to teach in English. No other languages should be used. But in saying this, I can still create opportunities where my students can use their languages. So if we had to think about it, students have multiple languages, right? They have more than one linguistic hand to help them. So as we're helping our students learn another language, we can help them build bridges where they are able to use it, but we can use the target language so they can engage in it. So helping them facilitate that process of building those language bridges for them. So this might be using or helping them when you have an activity, incorporating having writing it in the target language and then having them how would you define that in your language, in your home language or in a language that you have or so providing those opportunities throughout it, right? So this is one possibility. This is I believe Lee Wei and other scholars in this space would call this translanguaging, right? But I would say this is meaningful and uh, translanguaging, where it's not just a random act, it is intentional and facilitated, right? So I hope that does help. And, I don't know the context a whole well in the Philippines, but I will say that, with Tagalog and all the other languages there, use all the linguistic you can have, or at bare minimum, allow your learners to be able to play with language. Maybe that means drawing, making those mental connections, right? With language. And I hope that helps. But, just engage with how you view language in your classroom and how you can engage with the policy where you're following it for your school, just enough that you're following it, but you're still creating opportunities to learn.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Dr. Green Enix, especially in my experience as well. I'm approaching language teaching over to my classmates in a way that they can be able to bridge it with what is the sentence in Spanish and what it translates into English. Although I am also looking forward that this same ideology, apart from breaking the stereotypes with the prejudice that we have between the local language speakers and those who are proficient in English, we can be able to provide the teachers themselves the correct way of teaching language, especially it I was just thinking right now, about teaching Filipino to English. Ironically, what happened in a lot of cases here is that students are struggling more in Filipino than they do struggle in English, and I think that also the emergence of social media and the age of internet also contributed to it. But yeah, I really appreciate that kind of approach that, as you said, Dr. Greenix. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Just let your students use both their hands.
Thank you so much, Erica and Dr. Curtius, for answering her question. And now let's move on to another student we have here, Mr. Kevin Flores.
Uh, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah. It was a very nice lecture, no? As you said earlier, you think that TESOL is pointless, right? It's not a good measurement
I
for capabilities in
I don't
English.
think it's pointless. I think it's more of we have to be more cognizant of how we're training our
Mhm.
teachers and the ideologies that they're engaging. So if
Mhm.
anything, you training wise, it needs to be not just a single class. It needs to be, if we're training TESOL teachers, it needs to be more than just a single class. It needs to be throughout their training.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes, exactly. So if TESOL is not, I guess, sufficient for this type of being an instrument of measurement, here in the Philippines, second language teachers, there are a bunch of people who aspire to be second language teachers, especially through online teaching. And one of the qualifications before you get into those is TESOL. And if you think that TESOL is not the best unit of measurement for, wanting to teach students for other languages in other places. So, like, what is a good substitution, or what other tool or what are other techniques in general do you recommend for teachers or for employers who are looking for second language teachers instead of just TESOL?
Um, so to go off of your question, TESOL programs, right? So this student was an undergraduate who had to become a teacher first and then learn to support uh, students from other languages. So the main highlight here is TESOL is still good. I'm not necessarily knocking it, right? But what I'm saying is we need to make sure that our training isn't just captured in a single course. And to answer your question, what other aspects should we consider? We can also consider additional trainings that's provided by like uh, plugging in my school, the University of Nottingham Ningbo, or I'm sure plenty of schools in the Philippines provide additional professional development trainings for teachers to help teachers kind of learn maybe how we can further support students, but also these trainings need to be coupled with reflecting on our beliefs, not only about the policies that might be prevalent at your school, but also the way you view language in your classroom. So that way we can begin having a conversation of how we can support these learners through culturally and sustainable pedagogies. So that way, incorporating a critical world English approach, right? So I do think that would be a good way of saying, we should have this training, but we can also provide further training, or we can do a CELTA Delta if you're looking for alternative degrees that focus on it and say, I have this, but I still need to critically engage with those trainings. I think that's the main and central point to take from my talk is training with the teaching approaches are good. It just needs to be a little bit more stretched out in programs and critically engaged with so students can, one, engage with their beliefs about learning and teaching, but also what they're learning and help them translate that into their emerging identities as teachers.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think very good answer. So you're saying that teachers or employers of educators should approach a more holistic approach in language, right? Rather
Correct.
than focusing on their the technicalities of language. Well, we must also approach the holistic way, how we engage with culture, how we engage with practices instead of just the language itself. Thank you so much,
Correct.
sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for that question. And thank you so much, Dr. Curtis, for that very informative explanation. So now let's move on to another questions from our participants. So we have here Eugene Kabatingan.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Hello.
So, my question is kind of situational. So, let's say, for example, a Filipino teacher working with American students in a foreign country. The question is, how can you avoid imposing your own cultural beliefs and biases on your students? Like, what teaching styles or methods would you use to ensure a culturally sensitive and inclusive learning environment?
I mean, one of the first things is just kind of taking a needs analysis. Where are your students coming from? Hopefully, everyone can hear me clearly. But what I'm saying is take a needs analysis. Where are your students coming from? Are they, um, you know, do where are they coming from in terms of a language level? But also like their background. What are they there for besides just because they're told to in some cases, right? What is their cultural background? I'm going to say just stick to the Philippines because this is where the event is, but where in the Philippines? What island are they from in the Philippines? Or what city in the Philippines are they from? And that could have different ramifications of their own unique culture. And you can even begin to have more of these in the initial weeks, fostering this community of cultural understanding by just having them understand their having them share their culture while learning the language. This could be one way, right? Because one of the things is acknowledging students' voices and their repertoires and cultural backgrounds. So this could be a beginning to foster that. And you just carry that all. It doesn't have to be every activity, one activity for the lesson, and then you go on to the main language lesson. That would be sufficient, right? But as long as it's ongoing, right, to foster that support. Because think you're a curator as a teacher. Just like a museum, you hang pictures on the wall, right? You're intentional within your classroom. And with the activities kind of being the living art you have your learners engaged. So be that curator. So if you want to be aware of maybe your cultural biases, think about what do you value in your classroom? What is your teaching philosophy? Can you say it clearly to your students? If not, write it down, try it out. And just making it clear because transparency is a big part of it as well. I hope that helps. It's not a perfect answer, but I do think it's a one to start considering.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eugene and Dr. Curtis, for that very enlightening explanation. So we love seeing many people raising their hands. However, due to time constraint, we will now limit to our to our last question from the audience. So we have here Miss Molos for our final question.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Am I audible po ba or not?
You
Ayan,
are. I
okay.
hear you. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Curtis, magandang umaga. So for my question, sir, I would like to ask, since I've also learned foreign languages as well since my first year and now in my third year, and now that I've heard a perspective of a teacher in teaching a language, I realize that you do have your own hardships, sir, in adjusting your strategies in teaching the students, sir. And with that, do you think, in the students' perspectives, sir, should the students also have their own initiatives? Should do their own initiatives in learning a language, or should the students solely depend on the initiatives of the teacher in learning a language? And if you think, sir, that the students should also have their initiatives, what do you advise them to do to efficiently and effectively learn a language?
That's a great question. And I do think it both have to work together to learn the language. The teacher is a facilitator. They help guide the students on where how they can learn the language effectively through guided practice. But the students need to also take an active role as well, where yeah, there's homework, but helping them attach what's meaningful besides why am I learning this, or how can I make this meaningful for me first off, beyond I'm taking this because I have to by the government, or because my parents say to, so, or because of X, right? Why am I sticking with it? The other is finding available resources. This could be using a language app to supplement vocabulary learning, like Anki flashcards that uses space-time repetition, or Duolingo if you just want something fast, right, to help remember some of the vocabulary items, or setting an external goal for yourself, or for, as a learner, setting an external goal. Say, I really want to achieve this level of language by so and so date, and I'm going to study for this test and try and achieve that by so and so date. So you're studying some vocabulary on your own while also learning a little bit through the classroom, right? So finding a means to make it meaningful for the learner and helping them kind of see that. And the teacher can help with this process as well by providing external resources for them. So I hope that helps. For everyone that I can't answer your questions for, I saw Othman Banawi just got online. He's a good friend of mine and he has a very riveting talk. Um, this is, oops, this is my email. If you would like to get in contact with me, I'm happy to answer your questions. I might be a little slow. I just took up this new position here in China. Um, you can also reach me, read my work on ResearchGate on Google Scholar. I try to make my work publicly available as I value the post print pledge. If you can't get hold of something, you can email me and I'm happy to share it with you. The TQ one is open access, so it's available there. And thank you all for just having me here. So it's been a great time.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis and Miss Molo. So, your curiosity and engagement truly make this discussion even more meaningful. So, thank you so much, sir, for giving your details for our participants to send their questions to you. So, we really appreciate that, sir. And now, let's give back the floor to Miss Hetalia.
Daghang salamat, Dr. Green Enix. Daghang salamat also to our moderator, Ms. Darlene Lames. Another truly insightful discussion. At this point, we'll have the presentation of the Certificate of Recognition to our esteemed speaker as a token of our gratitude. The same citation is presented to Dr. Curtis Green Enix for sharing his valuable time as our lecturer during the 5th ILMU International Lecture Series. Thank you, and now let us once again capture this wonderful moment with a group photo. Everyone, please turn on your cameras if possible, as our technical team will capture your beautiful smiles once again. Three, two, one. Thank you everyone for joining that second round of documentation. Indeed, each lecture we have heard today builds bridges of knowledge and opens our minds to the many dimensions of language and society. Now, as we continue this fifth ILMU lecture series, we now move to our third international lecture. This talk will shed light on critical perspectives in applied linguistics, particularly on the theme colonizability and hermeneutical injustice in applied linguistics research. To formally introduce our distinguished speaker, may I call on Mr. Carl Templado, Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics student at the University of Southeastern Philippines.
Good morning, everyone. Let me present our third lecturer, Dr. Osman Z. Barnawi. He is a professor of language and education at the Royal Commission for Yanbu Colleges and Institutes, Saudi Arabia. He is the founding editor of Global South Perspectives on TESOL, a book series published by Routledge, Taylor, and Francis Group. He is also a co-founding editor of Southern Studies and Education. It is also a book series published by Routledge, Taylor, and Francis Group. His research interests include the intersection of language and political economy, social and education policy studies, the cultural politics of education, multilingual and multicultural studies, global South studies, and time and temporality in language education. His recent books are Colonial Temporality and Writing Education, published in Routledge in 2023, International TESOL, Lectures in Multi-Englishes Community, Mobility, On-the-Ground Realities, and the Limits of Negotiability, published in Multilingual Matters in 2022, TESOL, Teacher Education in a Transnational World, Turning Challenges into Innovative Prospects, and TESOL and the Cult of Speed in the Age of Neoliberal Mobility. His works appear in leading peer-reviewed journals such as Language in Education, Critical Studies in Education, Critical Inquiry in Language Studies, Australian Review of Applied Linguistics, International Journal of Bilingual Education and Bilingualism, Applied Linguistics Review, Journal of Multilingual and Multicultural Development, Current Issues in Language Planning, and British Journal of Educational Studies. Once again, let us welcome our third lecturer, Osman C. Barnawi.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
All right. Thank you very much for this lovely introductions. Much appreciated. I would like to also thank all the attendees, and in particular Dr. Sajid for his kind invitation, and also uh, the Students Language Society at the University of Southeastern Philippines, for really attending my talks. May I kindly share my screen here? Just give me 1 second. Would I be able to share my screen? I'm just trying to share it here. I don't know if it's been.
Okay. Yes, sir, you may now share your screen.
How about now? Is it visible?
Sir, it is visible.
I'm changing the slides. Can you guys see it?
No, we
Or
cannot,
not?
Osman. We're seeing
All
your
right.
you're
How
not
about
visible.
now?
Oh,
How about now?
yes,
Yes,
we
sir,
see
we
it.
can see it.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So, once again, thank you very much, everybody, for attending this sessions. I know I've been giving 20 minutes, so I'm trying to be brief and precise in order to leave room for critical engagements and questions, hoping that we would learn from each others. Because the talk of my, I mean, the topic of my today's talk is that It's about colonizability and hermeneutical injustice in applied linguistic research, specifically qualitative applied linguistic research, which is the area of my interest and expertise. The impossibilities for epistemological delinking. The idea of this talk actually arises from our recent work. Me and my colleague Hamza Rabol from the Education University of Hong Kong, we published this article recently in the Journal of Applied Linguistics, published by Oxford University Press, through which we try to sort of really join the current conversations on the colonization, decolonizations, and so on and so forth. What is interesting is that today, if we look at the field of applied linguistics and its related subfield like TEFL, etc., etc., we'll notice that the entire field of applied linguistics is breathing the discourse of social injustice, critical pedagogy, emancipations, colonization, decolonizations as evidence in many top international conferences. For example, the Conference of American Association for Applied Linguistics, British Association for Applied Linguistics, and other conferences in the global south. You'll find lots of books about coloniality, decoloniality, critical pedagogies, epistemic injustice, etc., also being published in forms of handbooks, special issue, seminar, forums, even in a position statement published by leading international associations, and work done by activists and at graduate levels such as master and PhD taught courses. The students are taught about these concerns. All right. Collectively, if we look at all these efforts, it shows that these efforts, like persistently, okay, there is a call for decentering white dominant knowledge constructions and circulations. They also demand realizing alternative knowledgescape, where various ways of being, feeling, imagining, knowledging are organically incorporated beyond tokenistic representation. Also importantly, if we look at all these efforts, we can make one possible conclusion that decolonization has not been possible yet. So there is still a long way to go, right? So because of that, instead of we thought like there's one way of really we can take it to engage with this kind of interesting discourse, which is it decoloniality or recoloniality of applied linguistic research that we are engaging with? When we talk, when we think, when we read the books, the conferences, the special issue, and many academic activities, people keep talking about coloniality, decolonization, decoloniality, etc., etc. But if we put them together and ask this very simple question, is it decoloniality or recoloniality of applied linguistic research that we are engaging with? So, in order to answer these questions, first of all, we have to understand decolonization. Decolonization is becoming like a buzzword, to be very frank. Like people using it differently in different books and different occasions, and even sometimes taking like sort of a commercial dimension. People use it just to profit from it, to get promoted, to get their work published, etc., etc. So my understanding of decolonizations here, that based of course my own locus of enunciation, that is it to problematize, to disrupt local legacy, or sorry, colonial legacy within applied linguistics, TESOL or TEFL, and how they not only have fundamentally shaped our theory, methodology, research practice, language scholarship, but also their validity, legitimacy, applicability, and sustainability across times. All right. When it's come to the case of is it colonial, decoloniality, or recoloniality of applied linguistic research that we are engaging with, in order to unpack or attempt to grapple with these questions, we use two concepts actually. The first one is Malik bin Nabi. Actually, he's a Muslim philosopher. He's the one who coined this concept of colonizability, which I will elaborate on it in a couple of in the next slides, and also Fricker's concept of hermeneutical injustice. Uh, Malik bin Nabi's idea of colonizability, of course, we use this concept as our epistemological compass through which we engage and join the conversation of colonization, decoloniality, recoloniality, social injustice, critical pedagogies, and so on and so forth. So, the idea of colonizability in a very simple way, Malik bin Nabi sees it as the states of internal weaknesses and susceptibility to colonization while making efforts for intellectual liberations. Right? We have to emancipate ourselves internally when we talk about colonization and decolonization. So the decoloniality is referring to the internal weaknesses. In the case of hermeneutical injustice, Fricker sees that it occurs when a gap in collective interpretive resources puts someone at an unfair disadvantage when it's come to making sense of their social experiences. Yes, sometimes we argue, we say we're trying to decolonize, we try to realize some social justice, etc., etc., through different research, pedagogical intervention. But while doing this, through our effort, we might be put at some unfair disadvantage when it's come to making sense of these social experiences. Therefore, it causes by, of course, by structural prejudice and the economy of collective hermeneutical resources. Therefore, I see that despite all these interesting contemporary discourses about decoloniality, coloniality, etc., etc., communities in the global south, of course, including the Philippines, even here in Saudi Arabia, many parts of the world, they are still colonizable. Why I think they're still colonizable? Simply because we have to understand how and what is applied linguistics first. Because applied linguistics and its commitment to knowledge and research have long been anchored in Western thinking tools, ecology, language, and that even our effort of decoloniality is seen as viable options only when its insights and understanding are faithful only to the same mainstream structures and knowledge system that have created the need for decolonization. Therefore, through ages of epistemic dominance, Global South may have encountered some tension and challenges to exercise a legitimized way of theorizing and doing applied linguistic research otherwise. A lot of scholars, and I mean, recently they try to perpetuate the idea of let's do applied linguistic otherwise, let's do applied linguistic otherwise, but while doing this, they will continue to experience hermeneutical injustice because hermeneutical injustice problematize the impossibility of practicing decoloniality and applied linguistic research. Unless we move away from rhetoric centered around critique to discourse that address the core issue and the consequences of historical colonial policy, as scholars in the global south, we are still colonizable. Why it's so? And in order to do that, why, in order to sort of really decolonize, the first step that we have to consider is that we have to disrupt the vision of social orders precipitating coloniality and applied linguistics. In so doing, we as scholars, students, teachers, researchers, activists, you name them, right, have to understand the scope and boundary of inquiry in the field of applied linguistics, how it was, and even is defined, constrained, contested, and enacted. We have to question the scope and the boundary of inquiry, right? It's really important because I always see teaching and doing research and applied linguistics in English as responding to Western communities of discourses that have certain commitment, interest, logic, vision, practice, and intellectual tradition in offering solution to everyday language problems. These community of practice have long colonized us by giving us direction to scientific inquiry through their own lenses. We have long been trained, conditioned, socialized, even taught to conduct our research in a very specific way. So, in doing applied linguistic otherwise, we have to do in a way that is faithful to the dominant narrative. So that's why we are still colonizable when it's come to really doing applied linguistic otherwise. By way of illustration, I'm just trying to share like some two or three examples with you, and I'm sure you guys have many more so that we can grapple over these examples and try to also relate and see how we are still colonizable. And PhD levels, for example, even if we did our PhD at home or even overseas during our PhD programs, right? Uh, people, I mean, we've been trained to do research, we have been trained to understand different research practices, and also through taught courses we have been taught how to really do critical pedagogy, critical literacy, etc., etc. But ironically, at the end of our programs, we are doing our PhD program or master program, right? We are compelled to write our research paper and thesis according to expectation, norms, rules, procedures, demand created by the dominant applied linguistic in order for our knowledge, our efforts, our intellectual effort to be legitimate, right? To gain recognition, right? So these general customs and convention to qualitative inquiry in the field of applied linguistics, for example, created a particular way of seeing, feeling, imagining, and doing, and creating a sense of epistemic hegemony that we all need to do particular research in particular way. When it's come to writing for scholar publications, right? The gatekeepers are all from the global north, right? We have to be faithful according to the rigid patterns of knowledge construction, the system, the discourse, the way of publishing, in order for our work to gain credential, to be accepted, to be qualified as a legitimate knowledge, right? Therefore, because of that, our effort of decolonization, because of that, we are still colonizables, right? And we are still being put in hermeneutical injustice because we've been put in unfair position and disadvantaged positions, right? When we try to decolonize ourselves, the only language we use and the thinking tool that available for decolonization is that the only that exists in the dominant narratives, right? And which is also faithful to the dominant narrative. Because of that, I think that, and Hamza and I, when we argue in our article that global South communities are still colonizables, and there is the hermeneutical injustice continue to occur and reoccur through our our PhD program, through our taught courses, through our scholarly publications. All right. With that being said, I would like to say thank you very much for your attention. Right. This is my contact details, and I'm sure you guys have got many examples. And sorry I have to be brief, just share the running theme of my talk today of the articles because I know I've been giving only 20 minutes, so I won't be able to share a lot of information with details here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barnawi, for that powerful and deeply reflective lecture on colonizability and hermeneutical injustice in applied linguistic research. Your insights challenge us to critically examine the structures of knowledge and representation in our field, and they add so much depth to today's exchange of ideas. We will now proceed with our open forum, moderated by yours truly. Again, you may raise your virtual hand or send your questions in the chat box.
Oh, I see a lot of questions here. Okay, I don't know if there are questions or reflections on your experiences. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about it, but because of the 20 minutes, once again, sorry, I have to just share a very short, simple and examples and share the main concept of colonizability here.
Yes, sir. So, if you want to ask questions, you can raise your hand. Okay, I see Sir Russell.
All right. All right. Pleasant morning, sir. Okay. Thank you for your great sharing when it comes to the concept of decolonialization and, of course, this epistemic hegemony. And at the same time, there's hermeneutic injustice when it comes to applied linguistic researches. And I'm quite I'm impressed when it comes to your presentation because this is what we do in the Philippines. It's a practice that we refer back to our framework or theories that we use in our research to Western ideologies, to Western established research theories. Now, my question is that what is your stand, or how can we decolonize the research practice where we prefer established framework from Western countries?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. You see, first of all, the way I understand decolonization is about commitment, right?
Okay.
It's about commitment. This is one thing. Another thing that, of course, here I'm talking about my own locus of enunciation, like as Muslim scholars who are engaging with the applied linguistic and seeing things in a particular way, right? So, based on my own locus of enunciation, actually, I see decolonization as a holy task, all right?
Yes.
Decolonization as a holy task because knowledge is something sacred in Islam, right? When you construct knowledge, we are expecting a reward not only at the moment, like we are expecting a reward in this world and the hereafter. So that's why when we decolonize as a holy mission. We consider it,
Mhm.
all right? So therefore, I mean, it's all about commitment, all right? So I see it through commitment, we should be able to realize that.
Yes, because you know what, our practice, because doing also my doctorate dissertation, the requirement really is really to create or to establish or to find established framework where I could anchor my study. And through this talk, I just realized that what we've been practicing, that our practice here is really an example of this epistemic hegemony in which Western countries dominate when it comes to producing and, of course, disseminating knowledge. And with this great presentation, we could certainly go to grounded research wherein at the same time through our commitment and dedication to generate new theories and generate new ideas would really be essential when it comes to the study of applied linguistics.
I mean, as I said, the interesting part is that I mean, we have long been trained,
Yes.
conditioned, socialized, and taught, right, to do research. So in a very scientific, I mean, in a very particular way. Therefore, we always have to question how the scope and boundary of inquiry, was and is, defined, established, and contested. This would be the departure point of doing decolonizations.
All
Because
right. Thank
in doing this, we will be able to have the necessary language to name the problems, right? Our way of seeing things, our imagination, like, scientific directions could change.
Yes, sir. Sir, just a follow-up question. Um, Could you suggest ways for us to decolonize this perspective when it comes to epistemic hegemony, or that concept of to
You
decolonize that
see,
perspective?
it depends on the phenomena that you would like to unpack, you would like to problematize and explore and find like an alternative intervention, right? I mean, because what particular phenomena that you are investigating, accordingly, you should be able to like know like what sort of local intellectual traditions that you would like to bring, right? To really uh, problematize that phenomena. But I mean, I won't be able just to say generally like what to do and how to do, but what particular phenomena are you investigating? So then accordingly, you should decolonize it. But in a very generic like, what way would you expect? Like, because I don't know what the phenomena that you are referring to or would like to explore.
All right. So just for the sake of this discussion, I'm so thankful for sharing your insights and thoughts when it comes to this concept. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you. You're welcome. I think there are other questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Russell. We have here a question by Ma'am Molina. She is asking if can you suggest ways how can early career researchers resist colonizing tendencies in their methodologies and interpretations, sir?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. You see, uh, in methodologies, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of local intellectual tradition related to the Philippines, right? The way your ancestors used to construct and co-construct knowledge, right? You might consider them as a departure point in your literature review because one of the interesting things about hermeneutical injustice, for example, even though our intention is just to decolonize, but while doing this, oftentimes we tend to review our literature, right? The literature review section in a very particular rigid patterns of literature review through very ideological citational practices, right? By citing this, say this, etc. As this particular rigid pattern is the only way of knowledge constructions, right? Unfortunately, all right. So one way of doing this we can consider like doing some relational literature review, like whom to cite and what to cite. We have to really relate it to our local intellectual conditions and tradition, and also in the case of methodology, right? Even in the methodology, you see, we should not really kind of looking at methodology as like a very rigid template through which we kind of go through, oh, this is the research design, this is the instrument, this is how they will validate it, the trustworthiness of our data, etc., etc. This very rigid robotic patterns uh, is not the only way of knowledge constructions. And I'm sure if you guys, I'm not from the Philippines, but I assume that if you guys look at the local intellectual tradition of the Philippines, there are many ways through which your ancestors constructing knowledge, and these methods through in which they construct these particular knowledges, they are organic, they are very rich, they also lead to the collective wisdoms, right? So you need to dig in and try to explore like what are the relevant methodological interventions that you can bring. It's because oftentimes it's paradoxical when people talk about coloniality and decoloniality, etc. When you look at the methodology part, they're still using the dominant thinking tool, right, to try to understand the local problem. At the same time, the literature review. I remember there is a good friend of mine from the he's from the Philippines, but he works at the University College London, Rouhani Topaz. Uh, he talks about this with particular focus on the Philippine. He talks about the epistemic violence of literature review, right? Even the literature review also like develop some social injustice and epistemic violence because we have been trained and taught to do literature review in a very rigid way. So I mean I'll be more than happy to share his contact detail and the article that he published because its focus is on the Philippines, and I'm sure you're all gonna benefit a lot from it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hoffman.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bernawi. We will have also another question here from Ms. Jasmine Irkadas. You can open your camera and mic as well. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, sir. Am I audible po? Am I audible, sir?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so good morning again, Sir Professor Bernawi. So for my question, sir, is what can we language enthusiasts do to prevent colonizability in our future works when the language dominant of in the academic field?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question clearly.
again, the standard, it is fixed and deeply embedded in systems, and we are trained to use it. And then you also mentioned about using our like historical or ancestors way. What can we do, or what approaches can we do when those methods?
Sorry,
Sorry, sir. I
I
will
didn't hear the question because
frame my question again. So, what research approaches can we do to frame our narratives in doing our researchers in researches, sir, when our ancestors or our ways are not available or accessible in the platforms online, sir?
exactly this is the major concern of our paper on colonizability. Is it, oh, okay. You'd like to repeat the question? It's okay. Go ahead. Yeah. I think there's a connection
Usability in our
issue.
future work.
Miss Irkadas, I think your connection has a problem. You can just type your question in the chat box. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a problem with the connection. Sorry, that's why I can't hear the question clearly.
Yes, sir. So while waiting for the question of Miss Jasmine Irkadas, we'll move forward to Miss Indiola. Oh, there's a problem with your mic. You can chat. You can chat your question in the chat box instead. Thank you. We have here someone who raised their hand, Miss Opada.
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible po?
Yes, loud and clear.
I think there's something wrong with my camera because I cannot see myself. Anyway,
It's all right. We can hear you.
uh, anyway, sir, my question is that how can we, as future researchers of linguistics, address decolonization in the global south in the field of applied linguistics without relying on frameworks propagated by Western people or ideologies rather?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. This is the main argument that me and my colleague Hamza are trying to engage with and grapple. You see, we try to problematize this specific question that you're answering. That's why we said because the global south communities, like we as community from the global south, early career researchers, seniors, scholars, etc., we are colonizables, right? And colonizability is also like the internal weaknesses that we have, right? So, and even we try to like bring different intervention through our local intellectual traditions, then we would experience some hermeneutical injustice because we experience a painful disadvantages because like the sometimes our works not get published, our schools won't recognize such kind of works because oh it's not being peer reviewed according to the dominant standards, and even our paper may not get published, etc., etc. So it needs solidarity, it needs commitments, right? We need to continue working and exploring different ways, right? That's why I'm talking about there is some possibilities, some impossibilities, in terms of uh, epistemological delinking. So that's why I mean there's no particular way. It just maybe you need to form a group of activists, right, who believe on such things and try to challenge the dominant narrative. This is one way. In so doing, of course, you need to question how the scope and boundaries of inquiry being established in the field. And also, I mean, there are a lot of journals nowadays, like now, trying to sort of also recognize indigenous ways of knowledge systems, their research methods, their research practices, and there are many works being published. Even top Western journals are now accepting, giving some spaces, to people in the global south to publish, through the local intellectual traditions by, framing the literature review in a particular way, by bringing particular methods, and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much, Miss Opada. Uh, we go back to Ms. Irkada's question. She's asking, how can we, as language practitioners, counter the colonizing effects of a fixed dominant language in applied linguistics, and what practical research strategies can be used to recover erased knowledge and fundamentally reframe the discipline's narratives and foundations, sir?
Okay. You see, earlier at my talk, I said when we look at those conferences, edited book, special issue, forum, etc., etc., they are all talking about decoloniality, coloniality, colonization, social injustice, epistemic injustice, etc. Collectively, if we look at all these efforts, it tells us one thing, that decolonization has not been possible yet. Still, we have a long way to go. All right. So that's why I said it's about commitments. Okay. The how is not possible, it's not being possible yet. People are still exploring different ways, different strategies. Right. One way of doing this, I'm saying that based on the argument that me and my colleague Hamza made on the paper, is that we said we have to question how the scope and boundary of inquiry being established, right? This would give us the necessary thinking tool, the language to name our own phenomena, our own problems, right? And then we take it as a departure point. This is one way, I'm saying.
Thank you so much, sir. We will entertain one more question, and this will be coming from Miss Intiola. Okay, so the question will be coming from Sir Saj Esingilan.
Assalamualaikum, Professor Dr. Uthman Z.
Walaikum
Barnawi.
assalam.
Zuma Mubarak from the Mindanao Island here in the
Thank you.
Philippines.
Thank
And
you. Juma
shukran
Mubarak.
for accepting the invitation. So you're live from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So we
Thank
are
you.
privileged to have you here in our lecture series. So the community here in our university would like to express our gratitude to you. You are the professor Barnawi,
Thank,
one of the
thank you.
leading
I accept it.
experts
Thank you.
in the
Yeah.
field of applied linguistics. And we are very honored, right, to have you as our lecturer in this
Thank you.
gathering. Now, in relation to your advocacy, okay, on giving voices to the people here, right, in the global south, no, in the Philippines, for example. Here in our university, we have been doing that. Okay, so we are giving a platform, okay, platform for our people here to be heard. In fact, our research projects, our journals are into that direction because people here, we are silenced. Okay, so the colonizers silence us, but up to this time, we keep on, living the spirit that, of course, we have the voice, right? And we have this space. Okay, we claim our space. And in fact, Professor Uthman, our journal, the Southeastern Philippines Journal of Research and Development is into it. We are championing the voices of the indigenous peoples in Sulu and in Mindanao. I know you heard of these places. You have your brothers here, your sisters here in Sulu and Mindanao. And I am very happy listening to you about decolonization. And I would like to express my my heartfelt gratitude. And I would like to invite you to maybe you can join us in our advisory board, in our journal, one of our advisors, of course, because we need you. We need your expertise, your brothers, your sisters
It's my pleasure, and I
in the
accept
global
the
south.
invitation.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need you.
yeah.
Our journal is a Scopus Index journal, a quartal two journal. So we need you in our team, right?
Yeah.
So yes, yes.
Thanks for the invitation, and I accept it, and it will be my pleasure to
Thank
join
you.
your
And of course,
journals. And yeah,
our students are here listening to you, and you'll have friends from the Philippines
yeah. I'm
because
sure
we
I
so
will learn a lot from you guys. I'm sure I'm gonna learn a lot from you, and it will be
yeah,
my
you will
pleasure.
learn about our culture here in Mindanao. After all, you Arabs colonize us. Yeah, but in a good way, right, Professor
In a
Osman?
good way, of course. I
In
mean,
a
I
good
would
way.
love to join and learn from you, I'm sure, because colonization, I mean, decolonization is
Yes,
about all commitment. So we have to do applied linguistic otherwise, right?
yes.
The otherwise, it's key here, how to do
Okay,
applied linguistic
okay.
otherwise. That's why on our paper, we're still like trying to grapple with the question, is it really decoloniality or recoloniality of applied linguistic that we are
Yeah,
engaging with?
yeah.
It's all based on our research habits and practices that we really need to be aware of.
Yeah. So that's why when I look at your profile in the research gate, so okay, so this is the best speaker that we need to invite in the ILMU lecture series because we keep on talking about decolonization. Okay, so the right person is Professor Uthman, and we are very happy to have you in this gathering. Okay, magsukul wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah, and see you in the next
Thank you very much.
sessions, of course, as what you have
Inshallah.
shared. Yeah, inshallah, as what you have said, you need more time, right, to share
Yeah,
your thoughts about this. And of course, we
of
welcome
course.
your
Oh, sure. Yeah.
presence, in our
Yeah, I'll be more
classes.
than happy to have an extended discussion with you guys. So, because I know many of you guys keep asking about what practical way, what strategies, what techniques. People
Yes,
just want to jump into the practice. They are like, it's just somebody's like tired. He wants to see like in a very concrete way. It's
yes,
not that easy, which I fully understand it because you need to decolonize your curriculums, your policy, your systems,
yes.
your coursework, the way you
Mhm.
are teaching. You know, it's a very complex stuff. You know, it's not like something like 1 plus 1 equal 2. When
Yeah,
few of your colleagues wrote in the chat box like what are the strategies, what are the techniques, but I was a little bit, reluctant to ask you such questions like, did you guys decolonize your programs? Did you decolonize your policy? Did you
yes.
decolonize your assessment, your pedagogical interventions, your knowledge system? Okay, these are some important questions to consider.
Thank you, Professor Uthman. Well taken. We will save this lecture and we will upload this to our YouTube channel. Professor Uthman.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah,
And
thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right, alaikum assalam. Okay, bye bye, everybody. Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you.
much, Professor Ingil,
Thank
and
you.
thank you so much, Dr. Barnawi. It was such a reflective engagement, but due to time constraints, we will be closing this segment. already. Thank you very much, Dr. Barnawi, for that
Thank
powerful
you.
and deeply reflective lecture on colonizability and hermeneutical injustice in applied linguistic research. Truly, your study challenges us to critically examine the structures of knowledge and representation in our field to give voice to our people here in Mindanao, and it adds so much depth to today's exchange of ideas. Thank you so much
Thank
also
you.
for accepting to the invite of our program head, and we are excited to learn so much from you, your expertise, and
Thank
your
you.
culture. At this
Thank
point,
you,
we
ma'am.
will proceed with the reading and awarding of the certificate of recognition to our lecturer. The same citation is presented to Dr. Othman Z. Barnawi of Royal Commission for Yanbu Colleges and Institutes, Saudi
Thank
Arabia,
you.
for
Thank you.
sharing his valuable time as our lecturer during the 5th ILMU International Lecture Series. Okay, once again, thank you, Dr. Barnawi. Before we close this segment,
Thank you.
let's capture the moment with a quick documentation photo, everyone. We request everyone to please turn on your cameras so that our technical team can capture your beautiful smiles. In three, two, one. Thank you. To bring
Thank
together
you.
the insights from all three speakers and highlight the key takeaways, help me welcome Dr. Russell J. Aporbo, Associate Professor at USEP, who will provide a synthesis of today's discussions. A virtual round of applause, please.
All right, a pleasant morning, everyone. This fifth international lecture series proves that language is the DNA of human existence. As mentioned earlier, language connects as human being, and that we could not connect to other people, to other culture without our language. And at the core of this applied linguistics, we recognize that language is not just a system of rules, but a tool for identity, access, and power. And that as practitioner when it comes to applied linguistics, we should offer practical solutions to real world problems. The interdisciplinary nature of applied linguistics as we connect to language pedagogy, social cognition, psychology, education, and applied researches also challenge us that as language educators, we also have to expand our horizons when it comes to doing our researches, not only focusing on language in the classroom setting. So we could make use of a qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods for us to explore more challenges and, of course, to offer solutions of these identified challenges so that we could at the same time use this as a tool when it comes to addressing the needs of our students in multicultural classroom setting. To talk about at the same time of the nature of our task or job as educators, we have to teach, believe, and of course become a person who gonna make a difference on the lives of our students as we reframe language ideologies in this multicultural setting. So the formation of this multicultural education is deeply shaped by our language ideologies as educators, since we have to teach, internalize, and embody in diverse contexts. So this process highlights the inseparable links between pedagogy, our personal beliefs, our teaching philosophy, and at the same time, our professional identity. So it suggests that multicultural education is not merely a curriculum model, but of course, it is a dynamic and ongoing transformation shaped by how language and culture are valued or marginalized in educational setting. And the third speaker also highlighted that we have to go far beyond our comfort zone, that we have to question, of course, those epistemic hegemony. This is what we call the hermeneutics injustice in the practice of research and applied linguistics, and of course, prove to the world that we Filipinos, we educators from the global south, could offer something more, far beyond what has been expected from us. Thank you, and God bless everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Aporbo, for that insightful synthesis of today's discussions. Your reflections have helped us to see how the ideas from our speakers connect and complement each other, giving us a clearer understanding of the key themes explored. As we near the conclusion of our program, it is now time to officially close today's session with the closing remarks. Please join me in welcoming our very own LSS President, Ms. Ashley Jane S. Inso.
Thank you, Ms. Italia. True to its purpose, the fifth ILMU International Lecture Series on Applied Linguistics has opened our eyes and broadened our perspectives on persistent language issues that are highly relevant in these present times. Today's lecture series further deepened this awareness by engaging with pressing concerns in applied linguistics, such as solving real-world language challenges in applied linguistics, reframing ideologies in shaping multilingual educators, and addressing colonizability and hermeneutical injustice. Now, by doing so, it made us aware of the current problems persisting in the field. It challenges us not only to reflect on these issues, but also to act meaningfully as students, scholars, and future educators. The event has once again proven to be an academic event that serves as a rich space for learning. And whether you are a language enthusiast, a student of applied linguistics, a dedicated scholar, or simply someone eager to learn, we are all fortunate to be part of an event that not only educates, but also empower its audience. And this is, of course, made possible by the empowerment of our renowned speakers. On behalf of the Language Student Society and the Bachelor of Arts in English Language major in Applied Linguistics here at the University of Southeastern Philippines, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished international lecturers, whose commitment to language studies and sharing their expertise transcends the boundaries of distance and time. To Assistant Professor Dr. Muhammad Al-Akad of the University of Malaya, Malaysia, Assistant Professor Dr. Curtis Green Enix of the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China, and Professor Dr. Othman Z. Barnawi of Yanbu Colleges and Institutes, Saudi Arabia. Thank you, our honorable lecturers, for your generosity in sharing your knowledge as well as empowering us. Your insights have been truly eye-opening, especially in today's globalized world where languages function not only as tools of communication, but also as sites of power, identity, and diversity. And I also hope that our audience today not just passively accumulating the facts and ideas shared by our esteemed speakers. Remember what Michael Foucault has said, knowledge is not for understanding, it is for cutting. And cutting here means action. Knowledge should not just sit in our minds. It must cut into reality, opening new ways of thinking. As students and future scholars in the field of applied linguistics, we are called today not only to learn, but also to question, to critic, and to apply what we have gained. We must use the knowledge we acquire today to take action. We must use it to confront language-related issues, to expose inequalities, to contribute solutions to our communities, and to push the boundaries of what is often taken for granted. I would also like to thank Associate Professor Dr. Nisrin Abdillah of University Technology, Mara, Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Rodney Jubilado of the University of Hawaii at Hilo, USA, and Associate Professor Dr. Christoph Savsky of Prince Songkla University, Thailand, for sharing their inspirational messages with us. These scholars have been present since day one of this lecture series and have shown remarkable commitment. Thank you for your continuous support and for always giving your time to us. Of course, this event would not have been possible without the dedication of our working committee. To Associate Professor Dr. Sajid Ingilan and Mr. Francis Trujillo, whose initiative made this lecture series possible, thank you for your leadership and for your vision to have this kind of scholarly platform. To the faculty of the Language and Literature Department, Assistant Professor Joy R. Risonar, Associate Professor Russell Aporbo, and Associate Professor Lisa Molina, Ms. Darlene Lames, Ms. Jamaica Prado, and to our host, Ms. Kate Marie Hitalia, thank you for your support and commitment to this event. And to our technical staff and student volunteers, Mr. David Mathinang, Mr. Sebastian Road Maghinay, Mr. Jake Urot, and Mr. Von Angelo Dadapan, your efforts behind the scenes are deeply appreciated. Today's event may be coming to a close, but this is not the end of our lecture series as we eagerly look forward to the upcoming ILMU this October. So more learning and thought-provoking discussions to come. Also, if you want to catch the full recording of today's ILMU, this will be available in our YouTube channel, Language Student Society. As we conclude, let us carry the spirit of learning forward. Atong palambuon ug ipadayon ang mas lawom nga pagpausbaw sa atong kinaadman. Let us cultivate and continue the deeper advancement of our knowledge. Daghang salamat, thank you, and may we keep learning, sharing, and making a difference through the power of language.
Thank you, Miss So, for that very heartfelt message. Truly, the knowledge we have acquired today should drive us to take action. Finally, to end our program on a reflective note, let us be led in the closing prayer by Mr. Ernest Adrian Canoy, a USEP Subanen student.
I welcome you to center yourselves in a way that is comfortable, whether through bowing your head, closing your eyes, or simply sitting quietly. Let us pray. Diwata nami magbibiya, rinid lupa, maritod langit. Pasaylua kami sa among mga pulong, buhat, ug huna-huna nga nakapasakit sa uban. Daghang salamat sa kaalam ug panaghiusa nga among nasinati karon ani among programa. Panginoon, idinarasal din namin sa inyo ang aming bansang Pilipinas. Naway pagkalooban mo ang aming mga opisyal sa gobyerno ng katapatan, malasakit at tunay na paglilingkod. Pawiin po ninyo ang kasakiman at katiwalian at palitan ito ng katarungan, katotohanan at tunay na malasakit sa bayan. Ipaalala po ninyo sa kanila na ang pamumuno ay tungkulin ng paglilingkod, hindi ng sariling kapakinabangan. We also pray that the knowledge and perspectives we gain today in this event will stay with us in the days ahead. Help us to apply the insights we've received in ways that will serve you and the others best. Bless and guide each and every one of us as we go forth and return to our daily lives. Amen. May all of us, in our ways, share in this hope.
Thank you so much. And that officially concludes the 5th ILMU International Lecture Series. This series is proof that every part of ILMU strengthens our tradition of dialogue and knowledge sharing, making this milestone a true achievement. On behalf of the Language Student Society, the Language and Literature Department of the University of Southeastern Philippines, thank you to our esteemed speakers, students, our supporting faculty, and all participants who joined us today. This has been Kate Marie Hitalia, your host, Padayon Yusepianos, Padayon Kapwa Linguist. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep connecting. ILMU never stops because knowledge knows no borders. From the 1st to the 5th, ILMU has sparked a fire of knowledge and will keep that flame burning brighter for the 6th ILMU this October 24, 2025. Mark the date and we can't wait to see you there. And if you'd like to continue the conversation in applied linguistics beyond today, don't forget to visit the USEP LSS Facebook page and YouTube channel where Lexi conversations are currently happening. Your space to stay connected, inspired, and engaged until the next ILMU. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in the next ILMU. We kindly ask everyone to complete the evaluation form via the provided link or QR code presented in your screens right now. Finally, we would like to greet 3 of our ILMU Technical Working Group members, Darlene Lames, our floor director, Jamaica Prado, USEP faculty, and Jake Urot, our documentation specialist. The happiest birthdays. Your words are truly appreciated in the success of every ILMU. Happy birthday and thank you so much for your service.
Love is spoken everywhere. We say, I love you, or even, mahal kita. But in a land of 175 languages, what does love sound like in your tongue? How do you say, I love you, in your Philippine language?
Yamaalim ako kanimo.
Dakal ginhawa kok nako.
Mahal kita. Nahigugma ako kanimo.
Higugma tika.
Kalasahan ta ka.
Pasaya takaw.
Kanbang nawa ko oo.
Kalasahan takaw.
Ipinanggaay ta ka.
Gihigugma ko ikaw.
Kababayaan akan ka.
Palangga tika.
Palangga kita ka. Tagigugma ta ka kadayaw.
Kalimu ko sa ka.
Kabayaan kuska.
Nawa tag.
Kaluguran da.
Dakon kagoy nawa ko koy ko.
Ay ayaten ka.
Nangaruta ka.
Higugma takaw.
Ighigugma ko.
Payakeng nawa kuniko. Padabata ka.
While love is a universal feeling,